Good morning everyone. Today we will start the topic fertilization, right? As we already know that before fertilization, two important processes occur there in the body of male and female, which we combinedly collectively call as gametogenesis. That means spermatogenesis occurs, right, and oogenesis occurs. So spermatogenesis forms spermatozoa and oogenesis forms ova, or we can say ovum, right? Now this is male gamete and this is female gamete. Alright, so before fertilization, both male and female gametes are formed, and when both the gametes are formed, then they combine together to form a zygote-like structure. They combine together to form a zygote which is diploid in nature, right? Now what we observe here is that zygote is formed by the fusion of two gametes, right? So we can say fertilization is a process in which zygote is formed by the fusion of male and female gametes, right? So fertilization is a process in which fusion of male and female gametes occur to form a diploid structure called as zygote. Right? So here in this way zygote is formed. So we are clear that fertilization is a fusion of gametes. Now firstly, when we discuss about both the gametes, we can say that male gamete is small in size, right, while female gamete is large in size, as we observe, right? Plus female gamete is mostly stationary. We can't say there are exceptions there, but it is stationary and it has structures like tail for locomotion. So we can't say it is stationary, we can say it is locomotory. Right? Okay, male gametes are small in size and female gametes are normally large in size. Now, one more term is there. We are saying that fusion of gametes are occurring. But there are two types of fusion occurring there, right? First is isogamous fusion, right? Iso means same. That just means that same structure, same size or same function of gametes combined together to fuse, right? So it is example of isogamous fusion. Second is anisogamous fusion. In this kind of fusion, N determines different, right? So here gametes should be of different structure, different size and different function, right? So in this way isogamous and anisogamous fusion of gametes occur. So these are two different new terms found out of this. Now another word which comes is syngamy, right? This is also a new word, and this syngamy means complete fusion of gametes. Right? Complete fusion of gametes is called as syngamy. Alright? Now, syngamy can be divided further as cytofertilization. Right? So, what is cytofertilization? Right? These are different terms used during the fertilization processes. So, we are just discussing different terms of fertilization. Right? Like isogamous means same type of gametes are fusing, and anisogamous means different types of gametes are fusing together. Syngamy means complete fusion of gametes is occurring there. Now we will see what happens in cytofertilization, right? So in cytofertilization, the term itself defines cyto means cytoplasm, right? And fertilization means again fusion, right? So cytoplasm plus fusion we can say. So it can also be called as cytogamy, right? So cytogamy or cytofertilization is a process in which cytoplasm fusion occurs, right? Only the cytoplasm fuses. This is called as cytofertilization. Now one more term which arises is karyogamy, right? So what is karyogamy? Karyogamy is fusion of nuclei or fusion of nucleus of two different gametes. So if fusion of nucleus occurs, it is called as karyogamy. If fusion of cytoplasm occurs, it is called as cytogamy. If complete fusion of gametes occurs, then it is called as syngamy. Right? Now, we just say that in humans, right, syngamy can't be possible. Complete fusion means fusion of cytoplasm plus fusion of nuclei. Complete means both the structures are involved in the fusion. So, we just say that it is the exception to the rule that in humans syngamy can't occur. Right? Why? Why in humans syngamy can't occur? Because nuclear fusion occurs there, no doubt. Right? Both the male and female pronucleus fuses with one another, and as a result fusion occurs. But why in humans syngamy or cytoplasm fusion is not seen? Because in humans we have male gamete in the form of spermatozoa, right? And during the formation of spermatozoa, right? During the formation of spermatozoa, excess cytoplasm is removed outside, right? During the process of formation or during spermatogenesis, the excess of nucleus, excess part of the nucleus, that means water residues, are removed, as well as excess cytoplasm is also removed outside. So that's why in humans, syngamy complete fusion term is not used. In that place we use fertilization in humans, right? And syngamy occurs in mostly lower organisms. Right? So these are different terms used for the fertilization process. Now we will see types of fertilization. Fertilization can be of two types, external as well as internal fertilization. But before we proceed to that, first we will observe some terms like ovulation. What is ovulation? Right? What is ovulation? Ovulation is just a process of release of ova, right? Ova is released from the ovary because fertilization doesn't occur in the ovary. It may occur outside the ovary or in the uterus or in the fallopian tube. That means ova should be released. So this process is called as ovulation, release of ova, because site of fertilization is or we can say place of fertilization is outside the ovary, and ova are formed inside the ovary, so they need to be released out, right? Second is ejaculation. What do we mean by ejaculation? It is again a process present in male gametes, right? So, ejaculation is a process in which male gametes are released outside. Right? Male gametes are released outside of the testes. So ejaculation process is also necessary for fertilization, because fertilization can occur inside the female body or in the outside environment, outside the female body, that is on land, water, etc. Right? So ejaculation process is also necessary. Now the third process comes is insemination. What do you mean by insemination? Insemination means process of deposition of male gametes inside the reproductive tract of female. That means insemination is deposition of male gametes inside the female body. So these three terms are important before we proceed to types of fertilization. Now we come to types of fertilization. Fertilization can be of two types. Internal fertilization right. Internal fertilization means fertilization is occurring inside the body of the female. So we can say it is a process occurring inside the female body. Alright, so inside the female body. Because fertilization is internal. So male and female gametes meet inside or fuses inside the body. At any place they can fuse outside the ovary, in the fallopian tube area or in the uterus part, right? So now internal fertilization we normally conclude that the female gamete is not very much active in internal fertilization because it travels very low distance, right? We are saying it is stationary, it travels some distance because it has to perform ovulation process, but it travels very low distance, and so we can say that it is present there as an inactive form or stationary body, right? But spermatozoa, they had to travel a lot of distance. That's why they have mitochondria present there. So they are locomotory and they had to travel a lot of distance there. So they must enter inside, that's why they are locomotory. Now when we talk about the external fertilization, right? So in external fertilization, fusion occurs outside the body. Outside the body of female. Alright. So if it occurs outside the body of females, then where it can occur? What can be the site of fertilization? So site of fertilization can be water, land, right? So they can be the site of fertilization. Land can be terrestrial, desert, any kind of land can be there. So internal fertilization and external fertilization. Now we observe that why there is need to be that there are two types of fertilization, internal as well as external. Why there are two types of fertilization present? So it all depends on two most important points, right? They are internal, external, but it depends on 2 points. First point is site of fertilization. And second point is nature of egg. Right? These are two important points on which internal and external fertilization are divided. These are basis of division. How we will see this? Just we know that site of fertilization is directly related to internal as well as external, because if site will be outside or place will be outside, then fertilization will take place outside the body and it will be external fertilization. And if place of fertilization is internal, then it is called as internal fertilization. how nature of egg or type of egg determines it. We can see this thing, right? Mostly we say that organisms are of three types, right? First is oviparous, second is viviparous, and third is ovoviviparous. Oviparous are egg laying, right? Viviparous are giving birth direct to the organism, and ovoviviparous are also giving birth direct to the organism. So we can say that viviparous and ovoviviparous organisms are proceeding under the which kind of fertilization? Internal fertilization. Why? Because they directly give birth to the organisms, or they can lay egg as well as give birth to the organisms. So mostly these shows internal fertilization. Right? But when we talk about oviparous kind of organisms, they can show both kind of fertilization. That means they can show internal fertilization as well, and as well as external fertilization. Right? Now, what we observe is mostly we see that in oviparous, insects come as well as amphibians also come, right? And insects also lay eggs and amphibians also lay eggs, but insect also lay egg, amphibians also lay egg, but these are exceptions of the oviparous organisms, right? Like in insects, we observe shells of calcium carbonate present outside the body, or chitin shells are also present, right? But in amphibians we observe that amplexus is formed here, right? Amplexus is just a structure present. That means we can see that both male and female organisms come in contact with each other right, and form amplexus like structure, and by this structure gametes are transferred onto the surface of water. Because we say that amphibians also have tertiary structures present around their eggs, right? Tertiary structure or tertiary membrane is present around the eggs of amphibians. So that is the jelly coat, right? And jelly coat, if comes in contact with water, it becomes it comes in contact with the water, it becomes thick and then it will be hard to penetrate this, right? So the male gamete will not be able to penetrate this thick. So before coming in contact with the water, it needs to be fused, right? Because at that time it is thin structure, and at that time male gamete or spermatozoa can easily enter inside the ova or the female gamete. So before coming in contact with the water, it needs to be what? Fused. So this is all we talked about the internal as well as external fertilization. Now we will observe the mechanism of fertilization, right? Fertilization is divided into three processes, right? Namely, approach and penetration of the male gamete, second, activation of egg, and third is future of spermatozoa. So mechanism of fertilization is divided into three parts: approach and penetration of the male gamete, how male gamete approach the female gamete, and how it penetrates inside the female gamete. Now second is activation of egg, like when the male gamete penetrates the egg, it activates the egg and certain reactions occur there, like cortical reactions, like fertilizing membrane is formed. So certain steps occur there. And then future of spermatozoa, that means now what happens to the spermatozoa, where it goes and what happens to that, right? So in this way, three mechanisms are there, but we will first take the first mechanism, that is approach and penetration of the male gamete, right? So first will be here approach, how male gamete approaches female. There are certain conditions present for this, right? Like first, number of male gametes should be more or very much. Second, size of female gamete should be large, right? Size should be large. Why there is a size should be large? We will discuss this. Random movement. Right? One certain theory was given by the scientists that male gametes move randomly inside the female body. Right? They are moving randomly. They are not specific that they had to move towards the female gamete. Right? So their movement is random as well as we can say sudden. Right? And when it meets the female gamete, it is just a sudden approach. Right? So random movement is there, and if it encounters in its place a female gamete, then they meet, approach, and sudden movement or sudden, we can say, interaction occurs there. Right? So random movement occurs of the male gamete there. Alright? And size of female gamete should be large, because if female gamete will be very small in size, then sudden movement can't make approach towards the female gamete. So if size will be large, like we observe here, if female size gamete is large, then any male gamete can encounter it, right? And there are number of male gametes, so at least one male gamete will encounter it easily. Alright. So there are three conditions for this. Now we go to chemical process of mating. Like one male gamete got a chance to interact with the female gamete. Right? Now, there occurs a chemical process. And firstly, we will see the diagram of the chemical process. So, we are observing the diagram. Right? In this way, chemical process occurs of meeting, right? So, here we can say that female gamete contains, right, fertilizin, which is a kind of gamete, and fertilization occurs due to this fertilizin right? So fertilizer is made up of glycoprotein, and protein again is made up of amino acids and carbohydrate portion of the fertilizer contains monosaccharides, right? Monosaccharides of 2 to 3 substances, right? So 2 to 3 monosaccharides are present in the glyco part, that means carbohydrates part, and protein part contains amino acids. So due to these different kind of amino acids present here, there is species specific nature, right? That means female gamete outer surface has fertilizer, and every species has different kind of amino acids arranged on its outer surface. That's why only that kind of male gamete which has these kinds of amino acids can contact here, right? That means species specific. Only same kind of male gametes or same species of male gametes can contact with this female gamete. And when we say that male gamete contacts it, so male gamete also has anti-fertilizer present on its outer surface, right? So it is also present. So fertilizer and anti-fertilizer bind with each other and form this kind of structure. That means these are female, so they contain fertilizer, right? They are males, they contain anti-fertilizer, and same species of fertilizer and anti-fertilizer combine together to form, we can say, to form a structure like clumps or agglutination, right? Either the clumps are formed or agglutination occurs due to fertilizer and anti-fertilizer capability or ability, right? So fertilizer is of glycoprotein nature. Now approach is completed, chemical process is completed. Now what happens next is, suppose here sperm contains glycine enzymes which break the membrane of the female gamete, right? Like if we talk about the female gamete of ova, it has some primary and secondary membranes present, right? Some membranes are present outside the female gamete. So to break these membranes, right? To break these membranes, sperm or male gamete release certain enzymes, right? It releases certain enzymes, and these enzymes help in penetration of sperm into these membranes or into breaking of these membranes, right? What does that mean? We will see this. Like sperm has acrosome part present at the top region, just above the nucleus, and it releases certain enzymes which can be acrosomin, hyaluronidase, right? So these enzymes are released from the acrosome echromosome region, and these enzymes are called as lysins because they break the membrane, right? They are called as lysins because they break the membrane. Now, same kind of reaction also occurs in humans, right? Like this is the female gamete of humans, ova. Right? It has the outer layer called as corona radiata, right, in which follicles are present. But what is the reason behind the fusion of follicles, or follicles are arranged with one another? Because in between the follicles, one acid is present which is called as hyaluronic acid, right? This acid is present in between these follicles and it helps in binding of these follicles. So, this is the structure of ova, right? So, hyaluronic acid, what does it does? What function it performs? It binds the follicles to make corona radiata. Now, if hyaluronidase, which is secreted by the echromosome region of the sperm, acts on this acid, right? Because we know that enzymes and chemicals work according to their elements, or we can say chemical substances, right? So hyaluronidase will work on the hyaluronic acid, and what will occur here? These follicles will separate or will be removed from here. So these follicles will be removed or they can become separated. So the sperm will find its place to enter inside. So in this way, these sperm lysins work and helps in the entry of the spermatozoa into the female gamete or ova. Now, what we read in approach and penetration of male gametes? First approach, how they are approaching, what is the size of female gamete, how many number of male gametes, and if number of male gametes is large or high, then size should be reduced. In the same way, chemical process. In chemical process, we studied about the agglutination process of the fertilizer and anti-fertilizer chemicals. Now, third process we studied about the sperm lysins process. That how hyaluronidase enzyme is working upon the hyaluronic acid and breaking the follicles away so that it can easily enter inside the ova.